This is episode 323 of the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me, my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
Brandon?
Oh.
I promised the listeners a drunk podcast a couple podcasts ago.
Yeah?
This is going to be a slightly buzzed one. I just cracked the first one. Started? Here we go. In honor of our new OC, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy whose names was on everyone's lips going into this search for an offensive coordinator, it was Shane Waldron. Shane Waldron.
Shane Waldron.
Got him.
Your new Seahawks offensive coordinator. I didn't know we were going to be toasting to this. I would have grabbed something a little more spectacular out of the garage. You let me go to the garage to get something to drink before we started the show, and you didn't say, hey, you might want to grab a beer. No, you didn't say anything like that.
Brandon, man to man, I should never have to remind you that you need to grab a beer. You should be able to do that all by yourself.
No, I need you for these things sometimes. Look, I'm just so hyped up still from talking to Marshawn Lynch for the Field Goals podcast. This is a day you have to remind me of these things.
That's true. That's true. And I actually feel a little bad for you today because you went from talking to Marshawn Lynch and now here I am.
And here you are.
That's a clear downgrade.
You and I, we go back a ways, though.
Yeah. Well, I know from this point forward, every time you show up on the show, you're only here so you don't get fined.
I'm going to be right back. I'm grabbing a drink.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I'm Russell Wilson, and I throw a sexy deep ball.
All right. There we go. To Shane Waldron.
Yeah, that guy.
The new Seahawks offensive coordinator and savior of the Seahawks franchise and soon-to-be four-time Super Bowl champion offensive coordinator.
That all has a ring. Yeah, I like it.
There, we can drink to that. Okay.
Yeah, the only thing, I'll tell you straight out of the gate with this, the one thing I miss is that Shane Waldron doesn't really roll off the tongue. You know what I mean? And I don't know if he has any nice little nicknames. It was always nice just to be able to go Shoddy, right? Or Bevel.
Waldy?
Okay. That has potential.
Shane doesn't really have a good, there's no nickname that goes along with the name Shane. Waldron the Cauldron? If he had a big pot belly, that might be a good nickname.
Yeah, if he had one of the Ryan's pot bellies. I don't know. I mean, on name alone, maybe we failed.
Yeah, that's a bummer. But see, one of the genius parts about this move for the Seahawks, the fact that they brought in, and Adam Gase was out there just in the sphere of names being suggested as potential offensive coordinators, we can look at this hire and say, and really the entire fan base can look at it and say, thank goodness it's not Adam Gase. Yeah. I think Shane Waldron's best qualification for this job so far is being not Adam Gase. I think having that at the top of I think when he walked in for the interview and he pulled out his resume, that should have been right on the top. I'm not Adam Gase. Qualification number one. I think I would hire an OC who did that, who had the stones enough to put that as number one qualification.
I think that'd be fun.
All right. Well, we could talk a little more seriously about it because Shane Waldron, he was the Rams passing game coordinator. So he hits on that qualification that we've really, you and I have touched on for the last couple of years. He has shared an elevator with Sean McVay. So that's, an extremely important qualification for NFL jobs nowadays. So he gets the job with that. And he gets to upgrade from Jared Goff as his quarterback to Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that's going to be better for his deal. There's no doubt about that. I'm surprised he wasn't hired as a head coach. I mean, since he once probably saw McVay in a hallway at a distance.
Right.
Yeah. How do you feel about this hire in terms of, here's this guy that we just plucked from the Sean McVay coaching tree?
Well, there's things that I like about it, and there are things that I don't like. And an interesting part of this is that it's not just that he's part of the Sean McVay coaching tree. He's also part of the Bill Belichick coaching tree. Because, back he's already a 2-time Super Bowl champion with his 2 years with New England being a quality control coach and tight ends coach in 08 and 09. So he has that part of it. And when I think of the type of offense that the Rams run, if they can find a way to mix some of the things from that offense with some of the things that Russell Wilson does really well, I could see it going well. Because one of the things that we talked about going down the stretch was, DK Metcalf, he was interviewed saying that teams had kind of figured it out, that they'd run the ball and then they'd pass deep, and they just took away the deep pass late in the season. And that was one of the things that we kept saying was, why don't you, if you're still going to pass the ball, like, you don't have to throw deep every time. You can look for it. And you see that with the Rams, that they do quick throws. They do, they boot out Jared Goff. And if you have Russell Wilson and say, people have that criticism of, oh, well, Russell in the pocket, he can't quite see for some of those short throws. Well, if you're booting him out, then he can actually see a little bit better. And maybe that ends up working better for this team.
When I first thought about it, I was kind of like, oh, I don't want the McVay, stink over here at all. Like, I can't have that. But then again, there's an appeal here in terms of the Rams over the last few years. When they've been successful, it's because they've run the ball well. That's when they have had success.
Yes.
And then you are going to see them run a lot of crossers in levels concepts and like smash out on bootleg and things like that. You are going to see a lot of creative motions in the threat of the jet sweep and other things that you can run with that kind of motion to, one, give you indicators whether you're in man or zone and help Russell Wilson read the defense to begin with. Two, that simplifies the reads as he boots out and cuts the field down to half. And the Rams have been good at running a lot of different things out of formations that all kind of look the same. There's good disguise there. Mm-hmm. So the taste in my mouth having just said good things about the Rams to make me feel better about our new OC.
Yeah, I know.
No, maybe I go back to hating this. Maybe this isn't going to be good.
Well, there's reasons why I can think that it won't be good too, because it's not like they picked a guy who calls plays for the Rams. This is a guy who was barely a quarterback's coach. He was the passing game coordinator. So he's obviously involved in the play calling and, setting up the game plan.
Drawing him up.
Right. But as far as experience calling plays, you're not going to have that. And I think that was going to be, I looked at this offensive coordinator search a couple different ways, because if you're going to hire the experienced guy and somebody who has experience calling plays, they've probably been fired multiple times, or at least once, to where you're getting them back as an offensive coordinator, a guy like Adam Gase or Anthony Lynn. Mm-hmm. So, and if you go with the inexperienced guy, you do have the potential of finding somebody special, or you could find somebody who flames out. So it seems like a boom or bust type of move. It's not the safe move.
It's not the safe move in one respect, for sure. It also, you bring in a young guy, and he doesn't have a lot of juice in the locker room to be able to stand up to Pete and be like, nope, on certain things. So he's going to be a little bit of a yes man that way. But the other way you could look at that is that you would think that Russ would have a lot of say and input into the sequencing of plays, what you're trying to accomplish, things like that. So you might get offensive coordinator Chef Russell.
And which could be a good thing based on
that could be
his play calling experience. So, that was one of the things coming into this show, because up until the night before the show, we were planning on talking maybe more about some other offensive coordinators. And that was one of the things after our discussion last week. I got to thinking, what if they could bring in somebody who, was a real type of coach who would challenge Russell Wilson, and how would that dynamic work? Thinking of a guy like Todd Haley, who is the offensive coordinator for Pittsburgh Chiefs. I know you would say no thanks, because the guy is, from all accounts, like kind of an a-hole. But
to steal a phrase from a former president, the guy's a major league athlete.
Catfish! Right. And so I got to thinking about that, but and that would also come with a big question about how that would play with Russ. Is Pete really wanting to try to mix it up with Russ? It would definitely bring additional challenges, but sometimes I do wonder if maybe Russell needs a little bit of that.
I think it couldn't hurt, and who knows? Maybe Shane Waldron is that kind of guy. Maybe he'll be in Russ's ear and letting him know that this is the way things are going to be done and where he needs to improve, and emphatic about it and demand the respect. Not that I think Russ is difficult to coach in that manner. But
and so that's why I go back to mentioning the Bill Belichick part of the coaching tree. If he had that experience of seeing Belichick interact with Tom Brady and can somehow bring some of that as well to this, then maybe there is a component of that in this.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention his experience when he was at Tufts University.
Don't forget about Tufts.
I didn't even know that was a school.
Yeah, I had forgotten since actually reading about it until you brought it up. Oh, it's Tufts with an S even.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, he played long snapper.
Oh, that's what I wanted to bring up out of that. Actually, yes, I think we nailed this. He was a former long snapper. I think we got our guy.
Also, he was born in 1979, which everyone knows is like a fine wine for finding the best people to hire.
Yeah, it's basically a whole year of geniuses.
Nailed it.
Future
6-time Super Bowl champion, Shane Waldron. I had to hesitate a little bit because I almost forgot his name.
Well, I guarantee by mid-season this year, we all will have Shane on the front of our lips. Now, whether that'll be a good thing or a bad thing will be seen in the future. But a question that I seriously have is, when Shoddy came in, they didn't really throw out the playbook. I mean,
right.
They kept, according to reports, 70-75%, and then the rest was Shoddy just kind of sprinkling his thoughts in there and some wrinkles. Now, do the Seahawks take that same approach with Shane here, or do they go, you know what?
Throw it
do
all
it
out?
How you like to do it.
I think they probably take the same approach. That seems like the Pete Carroll move.
That feels like the Pete Carroll move, but I kind of would like to just see it.
Yeah.
Just try it your way.
I guess a big part of that would depend on whether or not we actually get a preseason this year or not.
Yeah, I would, if I had to wager right now, I'd wager for, I would say yes, we're going to have a preseason.
Yeah, maybe 2 games, but maybe not a full preseason.
No.
Well, and even if it's just an off season of where they're on the field running drills, because they really didn't have much of that this last off season either, in terms of mini camps and that sort of thing. So that could play into it too.
Oh, for sure.
All right. Well, this is going to be a mailbag episode, but before we get into that, do you want to talk a little bit about the championship games? Aaron Rodgers now 0-4 in his last 7 years in terms of NFC championship games, 1-5 in NFC championship games in his history. And then you have Russell Wilson, who's 2-0 in those championship games. So what's better?
Well, I kind of think that Aaron Rodgers' abysmal record every time he gets behind by a little bit is pretty terrible. So yeah, I'd go with Russ there. It was fun to see Pouty Rodgers at the end of that game. I think we all enjoyed that very much. It was interesting to watch LaFleur's balls fall off at the end of that game. That was
at the 2 minute
that was
mark
tough,
there.
Man. Yeah.
It was kind of an interesting series because you had opportunities for Rodgers to run with the football. Looked like he might have been able to try and score on one of those earlier downs.
Or it must have been close. Yeah.
And then I know that there was a lot that was made about this. I think a lot of people think, okay, well, obviously you want to try and tie the game up. You have to get the touchdown. You have to get the 2-point conversion. And then you have a tie game with 2 minutes left. And man, I think about giving Tom Brady the football back with 2 minutes left. And I just think that's you're already going to be in a bad spot anyway as the Packers. So kick the field goal. You're going to have to get a defensive stop anyway. You have your timeouts. The more I thought about it, the more I could at least see where the thinking was in the idea of you're going to need your defense to make a stop anyway. So why not have them make a stop and then you get the ball back and then you can get a touchdown and win the game.
Yeah. So as far as the decision in real time, definitely thought, hey, you go for this. I don't think it was the worst decision in the history of coaching by any stretch of the imagination, but I still think you go for it there. So even in your scenario, right?
Yeah.
Like what position is it to be worse in to score and tie the game and then give the ball back to Tom Brady with 2 minutes left, or to kick a field goal and then still be down 5 and give the ball back to Tom Brady?
And I understand that. It's just that getting a touchdown and a 2-point conversion after having 3 tries at the end zone and not getting it from that position, I question the likelihood of that happening. But
well, and they struggled to get down. They struggled to get down there in the whole second half, right?
So and even if you don't get the 2-point conversion, then you have the timeouts and you can try and get the ball back, and then you can try and kick a field goal. So yeah, I think the likelihood of winning the game, it increases at least if you go for the touchdown in that moment.
And still, if you get the stop, right? And say you go for on fourth down there for the touchdown and you don't convert, but you get the stop on the next possession, you still got another shot to go score the touchdown to at least take it to overtime.
Yeah. No, and then you do have them backed up inside the 10,
but it didn't matter because I couldn't get a stop. And I was curious. This is interesting. I've been noticing all the levels in the rivers and the lakes and everything all over the country, especially in Wisconsin. They're so elevated from all of the crying and the tears shed by Packers fans over the audacity that the officials called a clear hold on a guy who clearly held.
I can see why Packers fans were upset because the officials were letting them play for a big portion of the game. And so for them to finally draw that line in that moment of, okay, you crossed the line with this blatant holding call at this particular moment when it was a big critical moment for the Packers potentially, I could see how it hurt. But you can't look at that and say it's not a penalty.
Right. And then here's the other thing. And I got into a back and forth with a fellow Packers fan that lives out here in Rock Creek. And he was so
did you say fellow
that.
Packers fan?
Oh, fellow football fan. I guess I should have said fellow dude who lives out here in Rock Creek who's a Packers fan.
There you go.
There we go. That's better. That's clear. But anyhow,
I'll totally edit that out. It'll be smooth. It won't even be like people will pick up
wonderful.
on it.
That's great. Or you could just leave it in and make me sound like the dipshit that I am. I think that might work.
That's probably what's going to happen.
Perfect. This is going great. Anyways, he was whining and crying about this. Well, the disparity. They let him play all game, and then right then they decided to call it. You know what the big difference there was? Like when Murphy Bunting was holding or any of those other DBs, they kind of had hands around the waist, right? But they're bodied up on the receiver, and they were doing it with craft, right? Like that's how you do it if you want to get away with it. We watched LOB do it for years and years and years, right? And then the Packers were doing the same thing throughout the game with their DBs and getting away with it. The big difference on this one call was the dude got a hold of the guy's undershirt, which was stretchy as hell, and it stretched halfway across the field. You couldn't not call it at that point. It's just the sheer visual of it.
Yeah.
And whether you think that's fair or not, I don't really care because it's irrefutable. That one was so blatant because of the visual of the shirt. That's the difference. They're going to throw the flag every time. Knock it off.
The shirt was pulled out about 2 yards behind him. And
yeah. Looked like a sail.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious. And the other part about it, too, it's not like the Packers, Brady gave them so many opportunities to get back in the game. 3 interceptions, and they still weren't able to get back into it. I mean, they got close, but
he didn't throw 3 picks. He had 1 pick and 2 arm punts.
Yeah. I suppose.
Those were arm punts. And one of them, Mike Evans, wasn't doing him any freaking favors either.
Still, it was surprising to me that you did see that from Tom even late in the game.
That's not the way he usually plays in those big time moments. But hey, in his 10th Super Bowl, I think that's pretty remarkable. It's everybody else who wants to hate on him and try to discredit the fact that he got to 10 Super Bowls because he always played an easy division, or they cheated all the time, or whatever way you want to try to cheapen going to 10 Super Bowls. Have at it. You make your argument. Here's the thing. Everybody else is doing all the same crap, and nobody's even come close to going to 10 championship games.
No, I think
this hasn't happened.
I think this was maybe for some people a little bit of an awakening in terms of Tom Brady, and that it's like, oh yeah, maybe he is actually good. I think there's still people out there that yes will still be the detractors. Dave Bloomquist,
Annalisa. I love Annalisa. I just wanted to get after her for a second.
Yeah.
It was fun.
But I definitely think that Tom deserves some credit for this one.
Yep, for sure. Now, it will be interesting to watch the greatest quarterback to probably ever lace him up. And I had to give up that mantle about 2-3 years ago because I was a Joe Montana guy in that camp.
Yeah.
Like as being the best. But it's true, it's him. But he's going to have to pass the torch to the next greatest quarterback of all time in the Mahomes.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
This is the torch passing game. This is the message that you will hear repeated over and over again leading up to the Super Bowl.
Mainly after the Super Bowl, after the Chiefs win.
The way the Chiefs are playing, it's hard to expect any other outcome.
Yeah. Their pass rush looks pretty damn good. And Tyreek Hill's a freaking cheat code, dude.
What is with Kansas City being able to have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes? This shouldn't be.
And Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
And Nicole Hardman. And the Pringles guy.
Shoot. And the funny thing is they have Le'Veon Bell on their team. And he's not even talked about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. An afterthought. Adam Gase killed his career.
Yeah.
But, one thing that watching that Chiefs-Bills game, and Clinton Bonner touched on this, was catfish. Next year, we better have some super quick jitterbug receivers. Somebody Schneider has to see this, right? How much the speed of the Chiefs just kills.
Yeah.
It's got them. It's got all the defenses totally freaked out.
Well, they have dudes with speed. The Seahawks, generally, when they're running jet sweeps, it's with David Moore. When they have other guys with 4.2, 4.3 speed on the team, like DK Metcalf, and, Tyler Lockett probably doesn't have that now anymore, but, in his heyday, he did, and you don't see that much from him anymore. But then you got Freddie Swain, who...
He's not that fast.
He has 4.3 speed. They don't draft guys that don't have 4.3 speed. Whether or not they have the kind
it doesn't
of quickness
show up on the field, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't show up on the field. Like that third receiver in New Orleans. What the hell is his name? The guy that had a couple sweet punt returns and got called back in their playoff game.
That guy.
That guy. Yeah. Well, I want some of them that when you watch them play, they look legit fast, at game speed.
Right. Not just a guy who can run a fast 40.
Yeah. It's usually dude with short, choppy, fast feet, and they just smoke. I want some of them.
Well, that was like Golden Tate. I don't think he had the fastest 40 time, but on the field, he was quick.
Yeah. The short area quickness was really good.
You want big
I want more
sack
sack on this team. Yeah. And I want more sack.
Well, we'll see if that comes up in our mailbag, because we put it out to our members of the flock in our Ring of Honor Facebook group. We put it up at getintheflock.com, and we did a call out for getting an idea of what our listeners want to talk about, Adam.
Yeah, and really, we were kind of out since there wasn't a lot going on other than those C things. So thanks for writing a show for us. This is great.
This might be the first time we've really done a heavy mailbag episode. Mm-hmm. And I don't like watching a whole lot of sports after we lose. And so paying attention to the Seahawks on a deep level, it's something I don't want to do. And then when I get just the surface level stuff, I see Chad Wheeler doing stupid crap and getting arrested and thankfully waived from the team as of Wednesday. So that's at least the good part of it, is that he's not on our team anymore. So yeah, I don't want to have to talk about that stuff.
No, they're going to have to throw the book at that guy, right?
Oh, they have to.
Yeah.
And hopefully he gets help, because it sounded like he was bipolar and off his meds. And so,
well, that should be part of the throwing book.
Yeah. Because we don't want to see that again.
Ever.
All right. But yes, mailbag. That's what we're here to talk about.
Now, you said before we get into this, you told me before we got on that there was a couple longer ones that you wanted to give more time to that we'll get to like next show.
There were some that needed a little bit more research, and then there were some that came in too just right before we recorded, and so I just didn't have time to put them in the notes. So,
okay. So
we might get 2 shows out of this, Adam.
There we go. I like it.
Oh, you know what else we forgot to mention? Our offensive coordinator that we wanted to hire from the last episode, Nick Sirianni, got hired to coach the Eagles.
Yeah. That's probably going to be good for the Eagles deal, and smart by them, right?
To listen to our show, to find out who they should hire, and then just grab them away before the Seahawks even had a chance to interview him.
No, I think that's a good hire for them. Obviously, they get one of the guys that was probably more responsible for their success, or at least worked under the guy who was, than their former coach. So congratulations to Syrian Army.
All right, let's start off with Michael. Says, hey, Brandon, some thoughts that maybe could be discussed on one of the next pods. I think the reason Pete says we need to get back to running more effectively is because Russ just isn't a good intermediate passer. I think his height really is starting to affect his ability to see routes that aren't halfway down the field. And because we haven't been running, the deep shots haven't been open, and Russ can't hit the intermediate routes. I think Russ's limitations have been highlighted this year, and there was a reason why the run set up the play action for big shots in previous seasons. That just wasn't there when the defenses figured us out in the second half of the season. Just needed to put down my thoughts somewhere. As always, love the show. Keep up the good work, and go Hawks.
Go Hawks. One of the things that I kind of noticed throughout the playoffs was that teams really weren't just doing this to the Seahawks. This is something you were seeing employed across the board.
Yeah.
You saw the Chiefs do it against the Bills. The Bills do it against the Chiefs. And the Saints and Bucks both employ the same kind of defenses against.
Definitely the Saints and Bucks, you saw that.
Yeah. It's interesting. This is definitely something that I think as a league, they've kind of shifted to try to take away this high-flying offense stuff, right? It's like, all right, fine. We're going to play too high all the time. And either your quarterback isn't patient enough, or your running game isn't effective enough to string together a 10-play drive to score on us.
Right.
So we're going to take away the big strike. Let's see if you can execute with perfection down the stretch here, and we're going to bet that you can.
Well, it kind of played out with the quarterbacks that you saw get into the championship games then, because in the NFC, it was Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, guys who can run those 10, 12-play drives to get down the field, who can throw to varying distances, unlike something Drew Brees could do at the tail end of his career. They were just all sitting on the short stuff in that game against the Bucs. So you have that on the NFC side. And then on the AFC side, it was the quarterbacks who were mobile enough to get around to buy time and be able to then find open receivers, or, if you're Patrick Mahomes, you're just Patrick Mahomes, and you can throw to guys that are double covered anyway and end up, Travis Kelce just jumping over guys and making the catch.
Yeah. As far as Russ and his intermediate ability, I honestly think it's there. I mean, maybe in practice they see something that we don't, but if they actually gave a crap about the offensive line and gave him a minute to be able to scan the field.
Yeah.
You saw Patrick Mahomes run around a bit and Rodgers run around a bit, but more times than not, like, they'd stand back there and have a moment to really try to dissect the defense. You saw Josh Allen get put under pretty good pressure throughout the game, and how much that rattled him after he had lit the league on fire for weeks on end, right? I think it's more of a function of protection than it is his inability to throw intermediate routes. Drew Brees used to be killer at intermediate routes.
Yeah.
and they're like the same height.
Yeah, I don't think that intermediate routes are much of a problem. If I were going to pick a thing that, and I don't know if it's that Russ isn't good at it or if he just doesn't, he's just not willing to take those short routes. But you see that problem is that he's just always looking for the deep ball when a short throw to pick up a first down is there, and he passes up on it.
So sure, you watch Brady and all these guys just, all right, fine. You give me the flat. Got it. 5 yards.
Yeah, they'll take it.
Cool.
They're okay with taking it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what is missing from his game in terms of just being okay with that.
Yeah. Always chasing those gap plays, right? The game altering plays.
Yeah.
Rather than understanding that 4 swing passes to the back when they're playing 10 yards off and, giving it to you on every play. That's a game altering play.
Eric Kaltschmidt comes in and says, this feels like a very important offseason for the Russ-Pete relationship. Do you think that they grow stronger together or do they drift apart? And maybe I can even modify this a little bit too with now that the OC is hired. Do you think that, Adam, do you think that helps or hurts this relationship between Pete and Russ this offseason?
It does feel critical, does it not?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think this offseason and this upcoming season will be the difference between whether Russ signs another contract here or he runs through the end of this deal and then is somewhere else. It really does feel that way. And as far as does this hiring help or hurt, I would think in at least the short term it helps, because you didn't do what you did with the last hire, right? When you go to Shoddy, who's one of those retread, rerun, has-been coordinators that you've seen do this over and over and over again. All right, fine. We're bringing somebody from the biggest and most heralded hotshot offense that there is in the league, right? Young buck, kid that's got it all figured out. That seems like that would appease Russ more.
It could. I've seen a lot of people trying to parse Russ's words in terms of, did he really want Shoddy to go? And is he now upset at Pete because he fired his offensive coordinator that he had kind of built a nice relationship with? And really, one of the things about Schottenheimer is that he did get Russ to grow, throughout the first couple seasons he was with the team, and then through this first half of the season when, they were putting up huge numbers on offense. So I can see that, but then I can also see, man, the last 8 games of the season just looked an awful lot like that final season with Bevel, to where Russ was trying to do everything and not taking what was there. And so it kind of, that's what necessitated the firing in my mind. I don't know. I don't know if this OC would be the type of guy that Russ is going to be content with, because yes, it is a passing game coordinator with the Rams, but it is also their offense did work around the run game very heavily. And I don't know if Russ recognizes, just how important a solid run game is to complement his game.
It's so funny to watch the arc of the quarterback, like the great ones, right? They all almost go the exact same way. Get into the league, a rookie, 2-3 years, right? The team around him is pretty strong. The defense is good. Run the football, hit your plays because you're a up and coming great quarterback, but we're not going to try to ask you to do it all, right? And then there's that intermediate phase about year 5 and 6 where it's like, okay, I've got this all figured out now. I've been around the block a few seasons. I need to start airing it out. I got to take over the team. I have to show what I can do.
Yeah.
Right. And they, like Aaron Rodgers over the last number of years, right? It was all on his shoulders. Everything else was whatever. Who gives a crap? And that's the way he wanted it, because I'm the best chance for this team to win. And they do that for about 4 or 5 years. And then they get a little older and they go, that's really hard. And it actually doesn't work when it's all said and done. I need a team that's got good talent. I need a defense around me, and we need to run the ball a little bit and let me do what I do best when the moment comes. It's this weird like arc.
Oh yeah,
that they
take
all
Drew
go
Brees' career with that example, right? It's the same exact thing that they put up huge points in the heyday of his career, but they were never, he got to the Super Bowl and got the win one time, but never able to get back and do it consistently because they needed the defense, they needed the running game. And it wasn't until the very final years of his career did they start to build that defense and the running game and give him the protection. And then they lose in all these heartbreaking ways down the stretch. And now he's going into retirement and never got that second one.
John Elway, Peyton Manning. Think about Tom Brady's most prolific year passing the football, where he sets the single season receiving mark with Randy Moss, right? Like he gets Randy that mark.
Yeah. And then loses to the Giants.
So it is interesting. So we'll see. I'm hoping that Russ gets to that next maturity stage of being a quarterback where it's not really about ego and trying to prove it to the world that you're one of the greatest to ever play, right? Which he talks about all the time. And is more like, well, screw that. If I'm going to be the greatest, I just got to win. And this is how you win.
Can we book him some time maybe with Aikman to just have like one-on-one talks about,
No, that's it. No, I wouldn't do that to anybody, dude. I like Russell. Why would you do that to him?
I think Russ needs that.
I think he does too. And I think there's much more charming individuals to do that with. You
can totally sell Troy on it. Just tell him DK will be there and Troy will sign up for that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
He loves him some DK
Give you all
Metcalf.
sorts of great advice. Like, did you know football is, kind of oblong?
Russ might need that. You don't know.
Touchdowns are 7 points.
You don't think that he's saving all that material for the consultation part of him that on meeting with quarterbacks, like he doesn't air that stuff because he wants to hold some of it back?
Oh, you're right, Brandon. That's exactly what Troy Aikman is doing. He is holding back his reservoir of depth of knowledge from the masses when he's talking on TV so he can give it away in one-on-one talks. You're right. It is. I can't believe I didn't see it. Like, Troy is masking his depth as a human being.
No, see, he doesn't need really a whole lot of depth in terms of wisdom. He just needs Troy to flip through the pages of the Cowboys memory book and say, oh, hey, look at all these Hall of Fame offensive linemen who protected in front of me. Oh, hey, look at this Hall of Fame wide receiver that I had. And this Hall of Fame running back that was there around me. And, yeah.
But again, I like Russ, so let's just switch Aikman for Joe Montana, just for his sanity.
I don't want a guy who went to another team, though, in his late years. I want Russell to be a Seahawk for life.
I do too, but we all should acknowledge right now the odds are Russ is going to play a year or two in a different jersey at the end of his career.
Or 4 or 5 like Dave Craig and Matt Hasselbeck.
Yeah, Hasselbeck kind of bounced around. I guess they both did. Craig did.
Craig was with the Bears and the Cardinals and
Lions.
Lions? Wait, was he?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't remember the Lions. I can barely remember all the Hasselbeck teams, and that wasn't all that long ago.
Just go with Colts.
Titans.
You're good.
Titans and Colts.
Titans and Colts. Yeah, there you go.
Was that it? I bet
sure.
We got pretty much the same question coming in from Swishes and Kush via YouTube and Joe Van Tassel from our Ring of Honor. Swishes and Kush says, if Carson walks, we should try and trade for Todd Gurley. I think he's Falcons RB2, so maybe he's attainable. And Joe Van Tassel says, will they overspend for a free agent running back? And why will it be Todd Gurley?
So first up, Swishes and Kush, great username.
Great username.
Enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to go easy with my answer here. Why on God's green earth do you want a running back who can't even start for the pathetic Atlanta Falcons? That's the answer?
Yeah, 26. He's only 26.
I don't care. He's 26 going on 72. At least his knees are. He doesn't even know when to score and when not to score.
It does kind of bring up a question, though, of who these free agent running backs are in this offseason that might be somewhat intriguing. Or do you think, well, you know what? I think
What is the list? Because I would say Carson's probably the best on the list.
Well, I'll organize it in terms of rushing yards this past season. Aaron Jones had over 1,000 yards rushing.
Okay.
You had Kenyon Drake with 950 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Gus Edwards for Baltimore. He's a restricted free agent, though, so he's under team control. James Conner for Pittsburgh had 721 yards. You got Wayne Gallman for the New York Giants, and then Chris Carson.
I'm not sure that any of those guys are better than Chris Carson.
I wouldn't be all that excited.
Now, if you take into
about
account health being a part of talent, then I don't know. Maybe you look at Aaron Jones in a little different light. I don't know.
The one intriguing name on this list to me is a guy just didn't play a whole lot, was Leonard Fournette for the Bucs.
I guess in these playoffs, I would say he's looked above average, but not spectacular.
And that might just be all that you want.
I guess, but I mean, are you really going to end up paying significantly less for Leonard Fournette than Chris Carson?
Mike Davis, he's out there.
Sure.
He's only 28.
28 in running back years.
Well, Chris Carson's 27 in running back years.
Kind of. I mean, he misses half a season every year, so.
So he's practically 24.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I have very mixed emotions about signing Carson again. And it's because I do see the potential and I do see what he brings to the team and the juice that he brings to the team. But at the end of the day, too, it's like, don't you just go to the draft for that?
Or undrafted free agents even?
Yeah.
Can you find that guy? Other teams seem to be able to find that guy.
We did. His name was Chris Carson.
Yeah. Well, 7th round. Yeah. Well, even before that with Thomas Rawls.
Yeah. You can find lightning in a bottle for at least a season or two.
Well, we're going to talk more Chris Carson. It's just Todd Gurley. No thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, here's DJ Nichols. See, it's the very next question. What are we more likely to do? Re-sign Carson, let him walk, or let him walk and sign Aaron Jones?
I'd say if they're going to spend money on the running back position, they'll spend it on Carson before somebody from outside the organization.
I believe that too. Aaron Jones is not like such a huge name and such a special talent that you would forego what you have already to go and get Aaron Jones.
Yeah. I mean, he's a pretty good back.
No, I'd be happy with Aaron Jones. It's just not the, if you're going to end up paying more, because you're probably going to end up paying more. Yeah. I just don't see the added value you get from Aaron Jones.
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Question number 2, do we stick with our developing tight end group, or should we sign a proven playmaker like Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith?
I don't see them spending a lot of money at tight end this offseason. I just don't think that's where that's going to be. I think they're going to hope that one more year removed from major injury that Disley's going to look better and that Colby Parkinson's going to be a difference maker and fill in with probably one more old veteran tight end one more time. And I think that'll be about it.
Hunter Henry, to me, he isn't a game changer enough to where you would go out and, again, spend a bunch of money in free agency. If you're going to be spending...
He's got that potential.
He has potential, but you're talking $10 million plus in terms of salary for a tight end. And I don't know, to me, that just, it seems like there's so much more value you can find either through a veteran or going out and drafting somebody. But even in the 2nd, 3rd round, I don't know. I think that they probably just have enough to maybe go for a lower priced veteran. You wonder if even, a guy like Tyler Eifert, if Jacksonville will say no thanks to him. And that's somebody that you can get to kind of fill that role. And
I got a quick question.
Okay.
Does Hunter Henry play guard, center, or any of the defensive line positions?
The answer is no.
Oh, well, then you don't spend money on him.
Yeah, considering the way the salary cap is, the way it's going to go, it does feel like center, guard, defensive line. Those are the 3 places that you even consider spending $7 million plus on retaining those positions. And that even goes for keeping Chris Carson.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. If it comes down to signing Carson to a deal or signing one really good dude in the trenches on both offensive and defensive side of the ball, oh, give me a break. It's not even close. Sign the guys in the trenches.
Jake comes in from the Ring of Honor, says, which player do you think is most likely to regress on the Seahawks roster next year?
Regress.
I think I'll take a stab at this first. I am going to say Jamal Adams, just in the sense that I don't think, after having a 9.5 sack season as a safety, I don't think he's going to produce at quite that level next year, because I do think that the defensive line, you're going to have the pieces to where you don't need him rushing as much. And so you're not going to get that level of production in terms of pass rush from Jamal Adams. Then maybe he can help out more on the back end and maybe get an interception or two. But he's just really not much of a pick guy either. So I think we might look at Jamal as having a regressive year next year.
That's interesting. Yeah, I guess if you try to frame it in just how many sacks does somebody have, right? Like that's the marker of whether or not he's having a successful season, then sure, maybe. I think that he's still going to have the same amount of, or even more, catfish the play stats.
Yeah.
Like I think he's going to be one of those guys. And they probably, hopefully, shouldn't have to rely on him the way that they did in rushing the passer. But then again, if he is so damn talented at it, why do you stop?
That's true too. I have a hard time thinking that he's going to be able to hit that number again. Like, because that's a big number.
Say he hit 7. Would you call that a regression?
I think people would consider it a regression, but I would be fine with it. I wouldn't consider it one, but I think that the general consensus would be, oh, well, he didn't hit 10 and he played a full season and, was healthy.
So like you ended up with 7 instead of 9 because the next season, the quarterback happened to spin away for you and into different teammates' arms. And you know what I mean? Like just, there's a lot that goes into it. If he ended up with like 2 sacks at the end of the year, okay, sure, that's regression. But no, he would not be my choice.
Okay.
I think it's going to be Benson Mayowa. He's going to come back to the team, and he's not going to be quite as effective as he was this last year.
Okay.
I think that might be peak Benson, what we just saw.
So you picked a backup level player. I see. I see where you went the safe route on this one. I went big.
He was one of our best players on the pass rush.
He was injured for a lot of the year. He wasn't a starter necessarily outside the first part of the season.
Okay, so was the question, which starter will regress the next year? Or was it what Seahawks player will regress?
You can take it however you want. See, I
take it the way it was asked.
I framed it in the way, too, that it was not my perspective, but it would be the outside perspective that Jamal Adams would have regressed with fewer number of sacks.
Yeah, don't put your name on that one. That's a bad take.
Yeah. No, you just put your name on a person that, may or not.
No, you just go with some people say.
Tim Schmidt in the Ring of Honor says, has anyone heard anything on Chris Carson? My teenage daughter reported to me that he is no longer following the team or Russell Wilson on Instagram.
Some people say that Russell Wilson and Chris Carson have had a huge falling out, and he's not coming back to the team. And he not only that, but he doesn't even follow Sierra anymore. So,
oh my gosh, this feels like,
I'm not sure if that's true or not. Don't look it up.
I wonder if this, because this seems like a tactic. We've seen this enough in off seasons of the reports of such and such a player unfollowing such and such a team and such and such a teammate. It almost feels like this is agents taking control of their social media accounts of their clients and saying, okay, we got to do this because this is going to get the word out about you being on the market. And this is going to help you in terms of your contract negotiations somehow.
Yeah. So first off, to Tim's daughter, I don't want to take anything away from her. This is excellent sleuthing work, and I think she is probably the next Ian Rappaport. But with that said, it's social media. Who gives a catfish? Like, I don't care. Just couldn't care less.
The thing with Chris Carson is we probably aren't going to hear any news until, at the very least, after the NFL Combine, when the agents get together, they talk to the teams, and sometimes you'll start to get contracts coming out of that, or they'll wait about a day or two before that opening deadline to where they're not supposed to talk to the teams, but they have already talked to the teams and they found out the best deal, and they find out that the best deal is with the Seahawks. And then that's what would happen. And that's the earliest you would hear about it. Or if it starts to hit when NFL free agency opens, then you're going to either hear it right at that moment where everybody starts signing, and then you would find out that Chris Carson signing with another team. And then if you don't hear it right then it means he's a second-tier free agent, and then maybe it makes it more likely that he's coming back to the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, those are all valid points. I bet you that we hear about it when he signs somewhere.
I'm just saying there's 3 windows to look for, and I named them all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. Yeah, or it's just one window, like whenever he signs.
Or he could sign just after we wrap up this podcast, because that's an option.
Yeah, hard telling, not knowing. No doubt about it.
Jalen Engel, he's also on Carson, says, do we let Carson and Shaq leave simply for the 3rd-round comp picks? And Jalen, I hate to tell you, but they're probably not going to be 3rd-round comp picks, just because those are generally, with quarterbacks or defensive linemen. I think they're probably going to be 4th or 5th round picks, depending on, I don't know. Shaquille Griffin, could he hit that level of top tier corner? I don't know. I'd say probably a 4th round comp pick is probably the best you're going to get for either of those guys. And do you let them leave for those? Do they play center, guard, or defensive line? Yeah.
No, which is a solid point. And it does make you wonder a little bit, right? It's like, oh, well, when they can find the DJ Reeds of the world, like, why are you paying big money for a corner? But then again, the idea of stability at corner does feel good. This would be the one contract I would give Shaq.
Okay.
Just with the way that, bodies break down and things like that. I think it's more likely that they give Shaq money before they give Chris Carson money.
Shaq probably even more than... So you have quite a few guys. You have Shaq, you have KJ Wright, you have Chris Carson, and then really,
they're going to re-sign KJ Wright. They're going to re-sign KJ Wright.
So you think that is the most likely of those 3?
That's a lock.
Really?
Yeah, take that to the bank. If you're a bet man, bet on that if you can find a line from it somewhere. Yeah.
Okay. Another one from Jake from the Ring of Honor says, what's the worst decision you think John will make? And what's the best decision that he will make? And who is going to be the biggest surprise success on next year's roster? Piggybacking off your answer there from the last one, I would say that the worst decision that John Schneider would make, and not that I don't like the idea, but KJ Wright, to sign him and bring him back, I think has the potential to be the worst decision because of age. And I love KJ Wright, but I think that has the biggest potential to blow up and impact the team negatively of signing a player like Wright to another contract.
Yeah. So with that said, I don't think that they're going to give KJ like a 5-year deal that's near the top of the market. I think it'll be more of a 2-year deal that's, well rewarded with a lot of stuff up front, right? And he'll take that deal and play 2 years and retire.
Well, there's a couple different
things.
And
he was playing at a freaking high level last year.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I would hate to see KJ go, but just when I see him pointing out the fact that nobody's, what was the stat? It was like something crazy about having as many pressures and passes defensed. Like no other player had like double digits in terms of anywhere else in the NFL. So it was some crazy stat. So I could see him looking for big money. And it's just a question of whether or not there are other teams out there that would be willing to give him that. If that's what he's looking for at the end of his career, to go somewhere, get a huge payday, I'm talking double digits in terms of next year's salary cap hit, then I think that would be a mistake if they pay him in the level of double digits.
Oh, yeah. No, they won't go there. But I don't think he's going to seek that either. But hey, if KJ does want to go off and keep getting them checks, have at it, bud.
Oh, yeah.
You have earned it, and happy for you.
I wouldn't be mad at him.
Yeah. Best move that John could possibly make, to find a legit slot receiver.
Yeah. That's something that they're missing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the decision he's going to make? Is he going to make that happen? Do you think they recognize that as enough of a need, that's a goal?
Oh, yeah. We talked about it last Tuesday. John's all over it.
Oh, good. Okay. As long as you squared that away from him. Okay. Yeah. The biggest surprise success on next year's roster, I would say that after at least having a healthy season in this year, still not all the way back from having multiple knee injuries. I say Will Dissly is going to be the biggest success on next year's roster that's going to surprise some people.
I'd say the biggest surprise is going to be a defensive lineman not on this roster already.
Ooh. Would Darrell Taylor fit into that category?
Yes.
Okay. Because he's on the roster, but he didn't play.
Yeah, technically, but he wasn't. Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Darrell Taylor or somebody else that's not on the team right now. How about that?
Good. Okay. Yeah, you're hedging your bets a little. Lisa Carlson, Lisa in Seattle, comes in and says, what's the worst development for the Hawks you guys could think of happening for our NFC West rivals this year? Warren in the Ring of Honor said Aaron Rodgers going to San Francisco.
Oh, as in worse for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would disagree with Warren in that, well, for one, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to go. I don't think he's going to leave the Packers as much of a big deal as, being made about that. I think Deshaun Watson going to 49ers would be the worst play because he has way more years in the league.
Okay. So, number one, Aaron Rodgers isn't leaving the Packers this year. He'll leave after next year. They're going to run it back one more time. Number two, Deshaun Watson is not going to the 49ers because what do they have to offer that's better than the Jets or the Dolphins?
They would have to throw in a player, which would be tough. Like, would they give up Nick Bosa to bring in Deshaun?
No.
No?
Why would you do that? If this is what you do if you're the Niners. If you're the Niners and you're John Lynch,
just keep losing. Be content with being in the cellar every single year with the Seahawks. Trade away your best players to other teams and just turn it, keep collecting that paycheck, John Lynch.
Yeah, just do that.
That's what you do.
Or you give the Detroit Lions a call and you say, hey, guys, I hear you're starting over. How about this? First round draft pick and Jimmy G, because you're going to cut Jimmy G anyway.
Sure.
Because you're built to win now, right? Matt Stafford is young enough and still playing at a level that the next 2 years he is an upgrade over Jimmy G, right? And if you're the new GM of the Lions, you go, that's cool. I like this idea. So you do the trade, and then you give Bill Belichick a call, and you say, hey, how about a fourth for Jimmy G? How's that sound, Bill? And then you pick up an extra fourth round out of it.
Maybe. Yeah, that might work if you're Detroit.
That's what you do.
Jimmy G goes back to the Patriots and
Matt Stafford being on the Niners would be a problem.
It would be an upgrade for them. I don't know. I don't know where I'm at in terms of, the crazy thing about Matt Stafford is that he's the same age as Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
It is wild. He came into the league awfully young. I like Stafford. I think he's one of the worst of the best quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah. He's like solidly in the really good quarterback level. He's like Matt Ryan plus.
Out of all the Matt quarterbacks, I think he's the best Matt quarterback now.
Well, I think that's probably the most likely move to happen. That would be the worst development. But I still think that Deshaun Watson coming to the Niners would be the worst development.
Yeah, I would agree with you if it was at all possible. But the Niners just don't have the ammo to go toe-to-toe with the Dolphins or the Jets here.
And didn't Stafford put out that list of teams that he wanted to go to? 49ers was number one?
I don't know. But if I were him, I'd be getting to the Colts.
That would be okay, too. Because they're not going to trade him to the Bears because that's in division.
Mm-hmm.
Clinton Bonner comes in, says, how would you rank our O-line against itself? Meaning, who of the starting 5 or 6 with Simmons is our strongest lineman and who is the weakest? Follow up on the weakest. Do you think we should move on from them? And do you think we will?
Posick and whoever it was that was playing left guard the weakest. And
I think Simmons was the left, well, between Simmons and Upati.
Right. That's why I said whoever was playing left guard.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of rankings, number 1, Dwayne Brown, obviously.
Yep.
Number 2 would be tough, I suppose, between Damian Lewis and Brandon Shell. Damian Lewis played all year, so maybe you give the edge to him.
I do.
So second to Lewis, third to Brandon Shell, and then, the other guys.
than the other guys.
And
yes, I'd
it
cut
would
ties with
probably
any of those.
be Posick would be in that number 4 spot. And I think you move on from him.
Yes.
Kyle Fuller might be able to play there. You might be able to draft a dude at center.
Yes, draft a dude at center.
Or get Justin Britt back.
Or do that.
All the options.
Yeah, just not Posick. There's been a lot of decisions in my life over the last couple years that have come down to like this person or that. And my decision isn't pro somebody so much. It's just not that guy.
Not that guy.
Yeah.
Warren comes in and says, which player will have their number retired next? And this is an easy answer. Bobby Wagner.
Mm-mm.
No, there's
Could be
another
Cam.
Seahawks player that gets his number retired before Bobby Wagner.
Cam.
Generally, the Seahawks retire the numbers of players who make the Hall of Fame. Does Cam Chancellor make the Hall of Fame ahead of Bobby Wagner?
If he doesn't, I'm burning Canton down.
I think that Cam might have to be one of those guys that has to wait until later.
Why?
Kenny Weasley had to wait, and he was Defensive Player of the Year.
I get that. That was also
Catfish!
up and bullshit.
Catfish!
So I'm just saying that maybe the Hall of Fame committee is going to understand the error of its ways and bring in Bam Bam Cam. And not only that, but you tell Cam he's not in. You be the guy that goes and gives him that call.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the question was which player will have their number retired next, and definitively I can say Bobby Wagner. I just have a little bit of a question mark with Cam.
How in the world? Let me ask you this, Brandon. We're not even talking about Hall of Fame. We're talking about jersey number retirement, right? How in the world is 25, 29, and 31 not retired at the end?
Just all together, retire all three.
I don't know that they all three like at the same time. I'm just saying over the LOB has to have their jersey numbers retired.
I think that they will put them in the Ring of Honor. I don't know if they'll have their jersey numbers retired.
All right. I could go with you on that.
Because with Sherman, even with Sherman, okay, let's say Sherman retires and gets into the Hall of Fame before Bobby Wagner. I think the fact that Sherman went off and had a career beyond Seattle, it might impact the number retirement.
I guess he got a statue. That's enough.
Give Sherman a statue and the Ring of Honor.
Well, they got the statue. They've got the statue of the tip floating around there somewhere.
Oh, they haven't put it up yet, though.
Oh, I thought they did.
No, that was a concept.
Oh, I thought that came to fruition.
No. Remember, because we talked about it before Sherman even went to San Francisco, because we said, do you really want to build a statue of a guy who could end up going somewhere, and then you're at the statue and it's of a guy who's playing for another team that you hate, like San Francisco?
Mm-hmm.
Is this ringing any bells?
I think we know the answer to that question now, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't bother me.
Now enough time has passed that it's okay.
Hey, I want to revisit a question from earlier.
Okay.
Biggest surprise move or best move of John Schneider in the offseason?
Uh-huh.
Guess who's back? Back again. Richard Sherman's back. Yes, he is.
I don't know if that would qualify
Tell
as
a friend.
best move.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
No bites on that. Nothing.
I don't know. I just don't. I want to remember Richard Sherman for what he was on the Seahawks, and just hearing from 49ers fans the way things have gone down these last couple of years. I don't want to have the point to where I'm calling for Richard Sherman to be pulled from the field. Like, I don't want that.
You don't bring him in as a number one. He's not like, you know what I mean?
Like, could he go out and be better than Trey Flowers next year? Yeah. So, okay. That would be fine.
Yeah. Could he go out and be better than that dude from the Washington football team? I don't even want to use his name anymore.
Yeah. That guy.
That guy?
Yeah, he could be better than that.
Hell yes.
Clinton Bonner says Carson plus low-priced rookies. Say Carson extends at $9 million, or Penny and we grab another Hyde type veteran back.
I would say if it were me as the GM, the latter. And you know how much I am not on the Penny train, and I haven't been on the Penny train.
Right.
But yeah, I'd say another veteran back like Hyde and another veteran back. I don't know.
Fournette, Mike Davis,
Draft pick,
Jerick McKinnon,
future Hall of Famer, Terrell Davis clone, Travis Homer.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to revisit that. I will revisit that DJ Dallas will be the surprise breakout player in 2021.
Oh, okay. I like where your head's at.
Okay.
I hope that's true.
Kenneth Reyes comes in, says, sexiest deep ball of Russell Wilson's career. And I think I came up with 3 that came to mind immediately when I saw Kenneth's question.
Mm-hmm.
The throw down the sideline to Tyler Lockett against the Chiefs. Just that moon shot. I think that was the one that you saw in the Cable Thanos video.
Yeah, that Chris Collinsworth had to change underwear after. Yeah.
Right. You have the 4th down throw to Jermaine Kearse in the NFC Championship against the 49ers.
That's the one that came to mind for me.
And you have the overtime throw in the NFC Championship game against the Packers to Jermaine Kearse.
That was the second one that came to my mind. The third one that came to my mind was the completed Hail Mary to Golden Tate.
Oh, the successfully completed Hail Mary to Golden Tate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there's 4 to choose
but I
from.
kind of want to just go with that one just because I want to rub it in the Packers fans' faces that indeed that call was correct.
Okay, you go with that one. I'll go with Jermaine Kearse against the 49ers on 4th down.
Okay.
Hector Mark says, if the Seahawks have another one-and-done playoff run in the next 2 years, do you see the recent coach/GM extensions being cut short?
No.
Just one-and-done playoff run in the next 2 years? So does that mean that they are one-and-done both years? They're one-and-done just one out of the 2 and one's successful, or that they don't even make the playoffs out of the next 2 years? If they miss the playoffs in the next 2 years, I don't know if I see Schneider being cut short, but I could see if one of them is going to be cut short. Well, I don't know, because essentially it's the Pete Carroll show. Does John Schneider have enough cachet now that he can fire Pete Carroll and hire another coach?
Yes.
You think so? You think that's part of his contract?
Yeah, if there was a likelihood of one of those two guys going, it absolutely would be Pete before John. Number one, ageism.
Yeah.
Like, for reals.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Pete's just older. And secondly, if the team fails on the field, that looks... More people point to the coach than they do the GM on those sort of things.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at the moves and the talent that are on this team, right? It's always been about, oh, it's Pete's stupid archaic philosophy and what a dinosaur running the football and, blah, blah, blah. That would be it.
Either way, it would have to involve Judy Allen, the owner, signing off on the move.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So would she be more likely to get rid of Pete? I don't know.
Yes.
That's where I'm leaning to. I just don't feel like I can say it definitively.
Yeah. That sounds like a very Brandon answer.
I knew you'd say that. Jonathan Stein comes in, says, who has a better breakout year, Colby Parkinson or Darrell Taylor?
Whoever's not named Colby Parkinson.
The other guy. Yeah, your former second round pick. I'd say, I think Colby could have an impact somehow, but I don't think he would have nearly the kind of impact that Darrell Taylor potentially could have.
Again, on draft day, wasn't super stoked about that pick, and I'm not seeing it. So
Daniel Weinholtz comes in from the Ring of Honor. Oh, and he sent me the pictures of the so for the prize winnings for the Pick'em League. Who? Oh, by the way, I guess I could probably just say that Christian in Norway is going to be the winner because he's 2 games ahead, and there's only 1 game left in the season. So
Christian's just taking a knee.
Yeah.
For the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he doesn't even have to.
He's in victory formation.
So there's a nice pine box that's engraved with the Seahawkers podcast Pick'em League champion, and Buck Knives is donating a knife to go in that box. And yeah, it's really cool. And then we also have, we're going to give away, we're going to bring back, Adam, the James Harrison Participation Award. And we're going to pick somebody to get another buck knife that's distressed, and it also goes in its own pine box that says James Harrison Participation Award for the Seahawkers podcast.
That's really fun. I enjoy that. And that's so cool of Dan, obviously, but, Buck Knives coming through and donating as well. It seems fitting that that's going to Scandinavia. I don't know why. Just does.
Well,
Yeah.
Christian will probably need it to be able to kill a bear with his own hands. And
Yeah,
he
bear,
can
caribou.
do that with a buck knife.
There you go. Reindeer, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know if they have bears there. They definitely have reindeer.
Yeah. They've got bears there, right?
I don't know.
Not like grizzly bears. They're like boreal bears. Is that a thing? I don't know.
Christian, let us know. What kind of bears
Polar
do you
bears. They got to have polar bears.
have? Really?
Yeah.
Probably not in southern Norway where he's at.
Well, I'm not saying like in his front yard.
Yeah.
But like, yes, in the country of Norway.
Christian, go up into the mountains and scout out which bears you have.
There's got to be some in a fjord somewhere. Go find it.
So Daniel comes in and says, what tradable assets do we have that wouldn't hurt us much? Do you have any thoughts on how likely ways we can gain draft capital? If we make our usual surprise blockbuster move, who is an asset you could see us moving?
That's a tough one, actually.
It is, because any players that you name are going to be really impact players. Like on the borderlines, you have Quandre Diggs, but I don't know if that would be somebody that, one, you'd want to get rid of, and two, it would even be worth it for the kind of draft capital you'd get. Tyler Lockett.
He's a Pro Bowler, I guess.
He's a Pro Bowler. You got Tyler Lockett, which I don't know if you'd be in a hurry to get rid of him either.
Again, on that whole keeping Russ happy thing.
That seems like a bad
getting
move.
rid of Tyler Lockett would be devastating in that regards. I don't think they'd dare do that. Plus, his contract is super friendly.
And then offensive line guys, you can't think of any there that you would even think about anyway. Defensive line, is there enough on the defensive line to where you could take a guy like, I don't know, would Jaron Reed be a guy that you could get a pick for and move on from and still have guys in the middle?
Puna could be that guy.
You think Puna could?
I think he's generated enough buzz. He's on a rookie deal still.
You got to keep him around, though.
I'm just saying, like, that's a guy that has high trade value.
Like a third?
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm doing it. I'm just...
That would be about
names.
as high as you would get for him, though.
That feels right.
I want Puna Ford next year.
I had a fun discussion with Jared today when you were talking about the Watson stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, he's coming to the Broncos. Don't worry about it. And I was like, yeah, huh? So I was trying to figure out what would the Broncos have to do to trump a Jets or Dolphins offer. So this is what I asked him. A first and a third this year, and they've got a pretty high first.
Yeah, it's top 10.
And a pretty high third, obviously, in the third round.
Right.
Your first next year, and Drew Lock.
See, out of all the quarterbacks that you could see, because with the Jets being in the mix, would Darnold be a guy that you would want? Would Jimmy G be a guy that you'd want for San Francisco? I think that Drew Lock might be the more interesting or intriguing, at least, out of those three. Because who else is, well, Miami with Tua, I suppose.
Yeah, somehow the league is still all like, hey, Tua, like this could work out. It just, I don't get it. I'd run away from, although for the Texans, I imagine that they'll trade for 2 firsts and Tua and go from there because they can sell Tua, right? That's marketable.
Drew Lock, maybe not so much.
No, but I think out of all the guys, Tua, Darnold, Jimmy G, I mean, I guess Stafford, but no, he's not going to the Jets. He's not going to the Dolphins.
Well,
No,
Stafford to the Texans could make some sense because you may not have to give up a first round pick to get Stafford.
So what do you do if you're the Lions? Do you look at the Texans and say, all right, Stafford and 2 1s? Because you know the Dolphins and the Jets are going to give up 2 1s. And so then it's who's the ancillary piece? Whether that's an extra pick and a player or just a player.
Yeah.
Anyways, I asked Jared that about Drew Lock and 2 firsts and a third, and he was out.
Oh, he didn't want to do that.
No.
For Watson?
Yeah.
Huh.
I honestly don't blame him. They're too many pieces away
Yeah, I would do it. If I were the Broncos, I would do it.
A guy coming off 2 knee surgeries?
I would do it. Although you might be able to get Stafford for cheaper, and Stafford for the Broncos could make some sense too. Because if you actually give Matt Stafford a running game, he might be good. And you got Judy there.
This Jets talk is really what I don't understand. You've got a zillion holes to fill, and you're going to give up a bunch of picks, high picks for Watson?
Yeah. Miami makes the most sense in terms of what you already have.
And the ammo to get him. And not mortgaging your entire future, because you already have Houston's mortgaged future in your back pocket.
Right. Oh, well, while we were talking about Poona Ford, Eric in Nevada comes in and says, can we see some special goal line packages with Poona Ford at fullback? This needs to happen.
I'm in.
Can we get a thing trending in the offseason, like hashtag let Poona carry?
Yeah, something along those lines, right?
Like, if we're going to pressure the team to do anything this offseason, we need to pressure them into getting at least a couple carries from Poona Ford.
Hashtag goal line Puna.
Goal line Poona, yeah.
Yeah. But to be clear, it'd be pound sign goal line.
Right. Pound sign Poona.
Pound sign Puna goal line?
Pound sign Poona goal line.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Pound sign goal line Poona?
Yeah.
I don't know. Which one sounds better?
Puna pounds the rock.
Hammer the Poona.
And there it is, folks. Stop the search. There it is, right there. We just need to hammer the Puna.
May have found our show title too.
There it is. All right, 2 beers down. This is gonna get weird.
Just now?
Yeah.
Well, good. We got some more questions to do.
Oh, okay. How many questions are we answering today?
I don't know. I'm almost at my limit.
Okay, me too. Because I'm not sure either of us are the Oracle, you know?
Well, maybe we'll do an easier one here. Pancakes over waffles, which Blake...
Still wrong, but that's cool.
Wrong, but hilarious team name. Prime John Ryan or Prime Michael Dixon? Who would you rather have?
Ooh, you say that's an easy one, huh?
Yeah, well, Michael Dixon's not even in his prime yet, so Prime Michael Dixon.
Oh, this is subprime Dixon?
I think so.
Wow. I didn't know.
He hasn't peaked yet.
Yeah, all right.
We got a good first year out of him. That was an all-pro. He probably should have been all-pro this year. Mm-hmm. And now, see, this is going to push him into new all-pro levels next year.
But when Dixon runs with the ball, is he capable of making John Ryan face?
No, that is for sure.
It's just something to take into consideration is all I'm saying.
If you could put John Ryan's face on Michael Dixon when he's making awesome plays,
yeah,
that'd be the perfect punter.
Be better for your and my deal, but a little worse for Michael Dixon's deal.
A little bit.
He'd have to rely on the accent a little more in the lady department.
Wait, you're saying John Ryan isn't as handsome as Michael Dixon?
Yes, sorry, I said it. Fine, okay. If it was the Gabe Mary kill with punters, like I'm marrying Michael Dixon. That's all I'm saying.
Not going to play this. Let's move on.
Damn it! I almost had you for a second too.
Dave Bloomquist comes in with a good question. If the 17th game, because they're talking about 17 games in 2021 now instead of 16, if the 17th game is on a neutral field, what new city or stadium would you like to visit?
So you would need 16 neutral fields?
No. Because the 17th game, if they decide to make that 17th game a neutral field only game, like if they have it in the UK, if they have it down in Mexico City, maybe they decide...
Oh, just a neutral field for one of the teams in 17. Everybody else would be playing.
Yeah. The rest of the schedule, home games, away games are all set. But we haven't seen a set 17th game yet. And so if they played that somewhere else, I would want to go. I would want it to be like Dublin. I want to go to Ireland.
That's a solid pick. I'm going to go with Brazil.
Ooh.
Oh, Rio.
I like it.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Bust out the Portuguese.
I don't have any of that to
Hide
bust
in my
out.
room the entire time, knowing that there's snakes everywhere. Be an awesome time.
I dig it.
Yeah, Rio.
All right. Jason Bonnert comes in, says, what's an embarrassing story you both know about each other?
I can't think of an embarrassing story for you.
I mean, there was that one time, the two of us.
Well, I mean, is that really embarrassing? I thought that was more a moment, but
yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
no, it's funny. I actually, if I really thought about it, yeah, believe it or not, and you should probably believe it, Brandon usually holds it together pretty good.
And I feel like all the stories that I know about Adam aren't embarrassing. They're just awesome.
Well, at least they're not embarrassing to me. They're fine.
Right. Adam doesn't get embarrassed. So
I don't really care.
Well, there you go.
That's a solid question, though. I wish we had a better answer.
We need to embarrass each other. We need to be in more embarrassing situations.
Mm-hmm. Because I don't think you were in the lunchroom in second grade when I spit chocolate milk out through my nose.
I don't remember that, but we were in second grade together.
I think it was that same year that Andy F outed me for having a crush on Dania when they were like, Miss Hash had us go like partner up with people, right?
Uh-huh.
And they're like, after that was done, she'd be like, so what's one of the most interesting things that you learned about your compatriot here,
Yeah.
Andy Evans. Adam has crush on Dania.
I don't even remember Dania being in our class in second grade.
Oh, for sure, man.
Oh.
She was smoking in second grade.
Yeah, okay.
And I was not, so.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
You were.
And fun fact, I actually photographed her wedding.
Oh, really?
And not like a stalker creeper from like out in the bushes. Like I actually did it as
like legit job?
Yeah, as like the guy. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I know that, the most embarrassing moment is probably just your first grade school picture.
Class picture.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking in the middle of it.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, but Adam wouldn't show his trap during the photo.
Out. Yeah. Yeah. It's much like this show. Me neither. No idea what I'm talking about.
All right. Well, we got a couple more questions, but let's say we break this up a little bit and we bring in Jeremy with his trivia.
Brandon and Adam, it is Jeremy from California. I'm here with the answer to the last trivia question I asked. The question was, Brady, Peyton, Eli, and Phillip Rivers have all been in the league for much longer than Russell. Which of those four quarterbacks has won more conference playoff games on the road than Russ? And the answer to that question has actually changed since I asked it. I was initially asking the question anticipating a Seahawks victory in the first round, hoping they would then, go to the Saints and we could then kind of talk about the statistic, but that didn't happen. Furthermore, Tom Brady has gotten added some victories to his ledger. So the only quarterback with more conference road playoff wins going into this playoffs was Eli. Russ has 4 conference road playoff wins, and Eli has 5. Peyton Manning somehow has only won 2 road playoff games. I think that's because, they were home a lot and they lost a lot of homes that they never got to, like the conference finals on the road. But that's still crazy that Peyton only won 2 playoff games on the road. Rivers only won 3. And coming into this playoffs, Brady had only won 4. But being the Washington football team and then the Saints, he's already got 6. We'll see if he wins at Green Bay. Anyways, Rodgers has 5 road playoff wins, and Roethlisberger has 5 also. So they have more than him. But my hope was that Russ would get 5 this year and be ahead in that. So anyways, we'll see next year. But anyways, it's been fun doing trivia. I'm going to call a break for the offseason, but maybe I'll try again next season. And if one of the other Seahawkers out there wants to pick up the mantle, then they can go for it. Go Hawks!
Jeremy, too busy in the offseason to continue to bring us trivia.
Yeah. I still have to do the show. And Jeremy doesn't have to do the trivia now?
Yeah.
That's like what? That's like 3 minutes worth of material? And like, I got to do an hour and a half a week?
Kick up your feet, Jeremy. Teach those kids and don't even worry about it. Adam and I will carry the load in the offseason.
Yeah, but I think we were correct, right? We both were thinking Eli.
No, you said Peyton.
No, I think
Yes,
you've got
you
this
did.
backwards.
You totally said Peyton.
I think you've got this backwards because I would have never said Peyton.
You
Because
totally
they always lost
said
on the road
Peyton.
and they were always
Because I even
in the
told you,
dome.
I said, why would you pick Peyton? They've played a ton of home games.
I don't know, man. I think I don't know.
Roll the tape back.
Yeah.
But neither of us picked Brady, and now Brady is actually the answer.
Yeah. Golly, man. That guy.
Now Tom Brady has as many NFC conference title wins as Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Russell still has 2, though.
He still does. Yeah.
Brady's probably going to play in the league one more year and take that away from Russ, too.
No, because the thing is that Russ is going to have a lot more than Tom when it's all said and done. So
Hopefully. Yeah, I hope so.
No, I mean, like, as if there's a question. Hopefully.
What, are we just talking NFC conference or are we talking conference titles total?
Everything.
Okay, now I know you're loaded.
Oh, so we didn't get a new question.
No, I know. We're just left hanging.
Because I was sitting there, I was like, wait a second. Was I something else I was supposed to think about? Nope.
No,
Off the hook.
Jeremy's done for the year.
Yeah, man. Hey, look, he's got an off-season life.
Hey, I want Jeremy's schedule.
I'm sure you do. But you're the straw that stirs this drink, man. You don't get no time off.
Let's just make this a 3-minute trivia show every single week for the offseason.
Done. Great. Trivia question this week, same as last week. How much do I not care about this on a scale of 1 to 1,000?
If anybody wants to get in the flock, go to getintheflock.com. You can help support this show throughout the offseason.
Yeah, get me closer to 1,000.
1,000 what?
Cares.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I think, let me see if it's active. What was it? Adam's podcast, hoboshack.com.
Yes.
It redirects now. Flocktimus Prime came through. So yes, you can go to adamspodcasthoboshack.com.
Okay.
And you can help support the show.
Hey, all right. There you go. Get in the flock because we were talking about today. Talking about it with you, Brandon. I was talking about it with Brittany here. And I think it's essential that I have a place to yell into a microphone that's not in the same tiny house with her.
Yeah.
I think it'd be better for our relationship.
adamspodcasthoboshack.com.
Yeah. And I just realized today I already have a whole nother solar setup for that.
Ooh.
So like I've already got that part ready to rock.
You are solar ready.
Yeah. And I can probably have other Brandon mill me up the lumber for it whenever I ask.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's not a very snowy year here in Montana. So
no. So maybe I'll build my podcast Hobo Shack just to watch it burn down this summer.
Don't say that. You've been clearing out trees pretty well for firewood.
Oh, and I got to clear a lot more, but it doesn't much matter when you don't get any snow.
I suppose not.
Mm-mm.
Pray for snow and pray that people go to adamspodcasthoboshack.com.
Yeah. I'm going to need windows and sound buffering things and stuff.
Carlos M. Puyallup comes in, says, greetings, fellas. Wanted to give some feedback on the show and some background about myself. After losing my stepfather in 2012, my mom and I started watching the Seahawks as a way to honor his memory as well as spend time together. After about 3 weeks, I was hooked. I was never a fan of sports, but the spirit and philosophy of Pete, the unrelenting drive and stoic nature of Marshawn, Russell with the clutch plays and the sexy deep ball, the LOB and that swag. Well, pretty soon I was looking for more ways to scratch that Seahawks itch in between games. I kid you not, I subscribed to over 15 so-called Seahawks podcasts, and to put it kindly, they weren't my cup of tea. After one episode of Brandon with his logical, reserved, but still passionate, well-researched commentary, and Adam's unforgiving, no punches pulled, straight to the gut take on things, I knew I had finally found my people. You helped me feel like a true fan, even though I was a noob to football. The Seahawkers podcast has provided me much-needed insight and guidance through my fandom journey and a comforting shoulder after the play that shall not be named. I started donating $2 a month a few years ago, and coming from a cheapskate like me, believe that means a lot. I look forward to the new show every week. I agree with both of you on the recent events, but I have to trust in Pete, even though he makes my blood boil. I'm excited for a change. I think that what we need is not necessarily a yes man, but a coach who is like-minded philosophically with the cojones to tell Pete no. I guess we'll see what the future holds. Maybe you guys could hold a special Hawkra cleansing show, not just for the fans, but for the whole organization. Go Hawks! Catfish the Rams!
Go Hawks! That's a cool story, man, about how him and his mom got into football, and sorry about the passing of your dad and all that, but it is nice to hear that somebody feels like they found their people, because you have, man. You're a little flocker now. You're with us. You're with your people. It's awesome.
And $2 a month. Believe me, if everybody who listened to the show chipped in $2 a month, it would, we probably wouldn't have to work.
I'm not grinding wheels no more.
So that definitely helps, Carlos. It's huge, and definitely appreciate the email. Dan comes in, says, hello again. I just wanted to take the time now that the season is over to thank you from the deepest bottom of my heart for creating a community that allows me to interact with other Seahawks fans. Supporting any team in the UK can feel a bit isolated, but with the Discord group, it sort of feels like we're all watching it together. It's good to be able to make comments and crack jokes, mainly calling for bubble screens. I'm right-hand Dan, by the way, and hear other people's opinions. It's honestly great, and I felt more connected than ever in a show of a season. Thank you for everything that you do, from Dan.
Dan, no, thank you, man. That's the whole point. It's all you guys. A lot of times people say, "Oh, you guys created this community," and it in a lot of ways, I don't know if you feel the same, Brandon, but it's not so much us that created the community. It's just we created the show, and then all of a sudden, you guys created this community around it, and it's awesome. It's been awesome for us to experience too, and it's awesome being connected with somebody like Dan from across the pond on game day. That is fun. I enjoy the hell out of it.
It is really fun. It makes.
And if you call for another bubble screen, I'm coming across the catfishing pond, Dan.
Yeah, I wonder how our new offensive coordinator is at drawing up bubble screens.
I don't know. Maybe he'll make the receiver run back towards the ball.
Hey, I think that's a thing that they do in LA.
Yeah, I guess so.
That reminds me, though, looking at the pick'em standings, do I do a pick'em winner when it's just 2 games? It looks like we only had 5 people get all 2 games correct. So, yeah, German Seahawks Love got the picks in first. So, German Seahawks Love is the winner for Week 20 in the NFC champion and the NFL Championship games.
I think we're all winners, having just heard German Seahawks Love, like that phrase. I love that.
German Seahawks Love.
Yeah, give him a prize.
I will. Okay, last email here from Michael Burt, coming in from the flock, says, can you guys, and this I think will have to be a preview, a teaser for a future mailbag show, Adam, because this might require a little bit of work. It says, can you guys give your top 10 regular season games in the Pete and Russell era? It would be fun to rewatch them during the long offseason and even hear you break them down with some 2021 perspective. Also, can we start a new slogan for this offseason? Yes, we already did that. It was, what was it? Hammer the Puna. Hammer the Puna. That's the new.
Oh, yeah. Hammer the Puna. That is the one.
Also, can we start a new slogan this offseason, like # let Russ camp, since Russell will be setting up his tent in the opponent's end zones, or # shady acres, so we can try and get Pete to retire. Haha. Thanks for all the great content from Michael.
Was that Michael trading as Dave Bloomquist?
Maybe.
Yeah. No, we got the slogan.
# hammer the Puna.
Hammer the Puna. And that's going to be far more enjoyable than let Russ cook, right?
Fits in with the philosophy. It's, it fits in with that idea of having people convert from defense over to offense.
So you said it's kind of a teaser for the next episode. Yeah. So I could think of a couple of the most amazing regular season games that the Seahawks participated in. I think a couple of they started out slow. They got down. They were down a couple scores going into the fourth quarter and then came back and won it. There's a few of those. I want to talk about those coming up next episode.
You described almost all the Seahawks games that I can think of.
Oh, right.
We'll get to them.
We'll get to them.
All right. On to do better and better at life.
All right, man. Who you got for your do better?
My do better this week is for Arthur Smith of the Atlanta Falcons. And he is the new head coach for the Falcons. I'm going to have to pull the audio here, Adam, because it from the first 42 seconds of his video that the Falcons put out, it has probably more cliches than I have ever heard in one 42 second period in my entire life.
We want to be the most professional, unselfish, well-conditioned, toughest physical football team in the league. And in order to do that, you're going to have to find tough players and unselfish players. And we're going to constantly look to innovate and adapt, regardless of who our personnel is. And I think we're going to play to the strengths of the team, and we're going to be flexible. But we're going to do it in all three phases. And we're going to have guys that are great teammates and understand how to adapt. Because you're going to see a team that's going to fly around, and you're going to see a team that's going to be smart and play a physical brand of football and play to the strength of this team. We got a lot of playmakers, and Terry and I will look to add more to them, and we're going to fly around. You're going to see a smart team, and we're going to be good in situational football.
Yes, nothing but cliches, same coach speak over and over and over again. It's just, it's hammered into it. The Falcons even had to hype this up as saying, how fired up the new Falcons coach is in this video. And the freeze frame of the slide of Arthur Smith, he could not look any more bored out of his mind to be now coaching for the Falcons. He's going to be a perfect complement to Matt Ryan, and it's going to be just, I don't have a lot of hope for Falcons fans and what they're going to do just based off of this video alone. So for this being the introductory video of your new head coach to the Falcons fandom, Atlanta Falcons, do better.
Yeah, they're going to need it too. That's the blandest hire I have ever seen in my life. Like, it's amazing too. Like, how many times does he say fired up? But he says it like this. I'm just really fired up, just fired up.
Just really fired up.
Guys here, and that fires me up.
We're going to be about winning. This team is going to be about putting speed on the field and doing whatever it takes to get the win.
I think this is going to be a total freaking disaster of a hire. I really do. That's what my gut feel says.
They were able to get some nice stuff out of Ryan Tannehill and the Titans offense.
I'm not saying they didn't, but I don't know, man.
This definitely seems like a guy who should just be a coordinator.
Yes. I don't see him inspiring many men.
No. No, it was not an inspiring video, for sure.
I haven't tried to watch another interview with him. It was like, hey.
Yeah, I think I listened to him do a Jim Rome interview, and I think I tuned out about 2 minutes into it because it was just so... It wasn't saying anything.
Wait, did Jim Caldwell, inherit Arthur Smith's body? Did he take it over?
This is Jim Caldwell, the sequel.
Possessed. That's what it is.
Yeah.
All right, man. My do better this week is for crybaby ass Aaron Rodgers. I could not believe his press conference. And there's some people that came to his defense on my little post in the Ring of Honor about Aaron Rodgers sitting up there. He's asked about the 4th down play and why they didn't go for it and kick the field goal and how he felt about it. And he danced all around the question, only at the end of it to hop aboard a school bus and find Matt LaFleur standing at the bus stop and run his ass over with both axles. Poof, poof, and then backed up poof, one more time just for good measure. What do you think about that? I don't know. It just wasn't my decision.
It wasn't his decision, Adam. What do you expect him to say?
What do I expect him to say? What somebody like Russell Carrington Wilson, an actual leader, is somebody who actually protects the team, to say something along the lines of, there's a lot of different options there. I thought maybe we could have gone for it. Coach thought that this was the better way to go, and I can see the logic to that. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I'm sure we're going to make a great run next year, and I look forward to getting to make that sort of decision again next year. Protect the freaking team. But instead he tries to run over Matt LaFleur in the press conference. He made sure, Aaron Rodgers made sure nobody blamed him for that. That was his number one goal. It wasn't, to make sure everybody felt good about it and the organization to move forward. No. Freaking snipe Matt LaFleur from the stage there. And for that, Aaron Rodgers, you crybaby ass, do better.
What do you think it would be like if Aaron Rodgers and Bruce Arians were on the same team together? Like, how would that dynamic work as far as apportioning blame?
Well, they would be the most blame-free team in all the league. We know that.
You'd have Aaron Rodgers out there saying, well, it wasn't me, it was the coach's decision. And the coach would be like, well, really these other players, they're really at fault and to blame here.
I think what would happen would be an unholy alliance where they just start throwing the GM under the bus the entire season.
Find somebody.
Yeah, not my fault. Not my fault.
All right. Well, my better at life this week, I'm circling back. I'm giving my better at life, Adam, to Marshawn Lynch for coming on and doing an interview on a podcast with me. I mean,
that was cool.
Who does that?
I don't know, but
and
apparently
for it to be Marshawn of all people, like,
yeah.
Sean Alexander blows me off the week before, but no, it's Marshawn Lynch, the guy who is known for, sticking it to anyone in the media, not doing interviews, not even giving good interviews. And this was a good interview. So
yeah,
to beast mode, better at life than Skip Bayless.
Your good buddy, Beast Mode, who, when you got on the Skype, thought he remembered you.
Yeah, he thought I looked familiar.
Yeah. I didn't know. You've been holding out this whole time.
Yeah, Marshawn and I go down to Oakland every once in a while.
I guess, man. You kicking it in the crib and hanging out with Marshawn, eating some Skittles.
Yeah.
And Subway.
We're good like that.
Yeah.
I thought
cool.
Maybe when he said I looked familiar, I thought that maybe he recognized me from doing some of the military Seahawkers sideline photo stuff. Maybe he did.
Maybe that was it.
I never interacted with him, but hey.
That's cool. No, I thought that was really neat, man. And I'm looking forward to listening to that.
You're definitely going to want to check it out.
I think everybody will.
I think so. It's Marshawn. I mean, how can, if there's something out there that is of Marshawn, like, don't you watch it?
Every time for life.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Brandon, my better at life than Skip Bayless this week is for the anti-Arthur Smith. Detroit Lions new head coach, Dan Campbell. You've all seen it. You've all seen the video of him in the press conference. And my favorite, everybody was focused on my favorite line. Everybody was focused on the go to knock us down, and I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna bite off your kneecap on the way up. And that was fine. I enjoyed that. I did. I enjoyed that very much.
There was a better line?
Yes. I could sit up here and talk coach speak all day to you guys. But you've heard enough of that. Catfish! Excuse my language. Like, continues on. The anti-Arthur Smith. He wasn't doing none of that. That guy is inspirational. I'd run through a wall for him. I'm going to be really interested to see what they do as an organization here over the next season or two. But I kind of have high hopes for him. If they fail, it's still going to be entertaining. But Dan Campbell, thank you for being original and fun. Better at life than Skip Bayless.
Definitely the anti-Falcons coach.
Mm-hmm.
Arthur Smith. I'll take Dan Campbell all day. I don't know if he'll have any success, but I would. I know I could root for that coach over the alternative.
If you're in Detroit right now compared to somebody who's in Atlanta right now, one of you feels a lot better about your deal right now.
Definitely feeling better to be a Lions fan, although I don't think I'd want to be a fan of either of those teams. I'm glad I'm right here with the Seahawks, Adam.
Oh, yeah, for sure, because you have self-esteem. And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Yeah, you look familiar as
catfish.
Yeah, because you look familiar as hell. But man, that's all good.